Good day everyone and welcome to our Business Mathematics class. I am Ma'am Shirley and for today's discussion, we will be having Markup, Markdown, and Markon. Let's start. Okay, so before we start with our discussion on Markup, Markdown, and Markon, let us first define some significant terms. First is the selling price. This is the amount set by the seller in exchange of his or her product or service. Ito yung halaga ng produkto o serbisyo na itinakda ng isang entrepreneur. Cost. This is the amount spent to purchase or to come up with a product or service. Ito naman yung halagang ginamit para bilhin o buuin ang isang produkto o serbisyo na iniaalok ng isang negosyo. Expenses. This is the amount spent on operations of the business. Ang mga halaga na ginamit para sa operasyon ng isang negosyo. This may include electric or water bill or rent of the physical store. Profit. This is the financial gain exceeding the total cost. Ito naman yung tubo o yung kinita ng negosyo na naibawas na yung mga naging gastusin. Rate. This is usually expressed in percent. Charge or payment with reference to some basic amount. Madali natin ma-identify ito dahil ito yung kadalasang may kasamang percent sign. Ito yung pag-compare ng isang value or halaga in reference sa isa pang halaga. Break-even. Point wherein the income of the business equals expenditures. No profit nor loss. Ito yung point kung saan masasabing bawi na ang isang negosyo. At this point, wala pang masasabing kinita ang business at the same time, hindi na din lugi. Markup. This is the amount added to the cost of the product to gain profit and to come up with the selling price. For example, a banana loaf is sold at 100 pesos. If the cost for the production of the loaf is 70 pesos, how much is the markup? Since sabi dito, markup is the amount added to the cost to come up with the selling price, the markup can be obtained by getting the difference between the selling price and the cost of the product. In this case, the markup will be 100 pesos minus 70 pesos, which is equal to 30 pesos. Therefore, markup is also equal to the selling price minus the cost. Okay, so let us have an example. Miss Macy Pag purchased a box of face mask at 150 pesos and sold it at 180 pesos. What is the markup? So, to solve this problem, let us first identify the given values and what is asked in the problem. Let's check for the keywords. So, ang keyword natin for this one, purchase a box of face mask pertaining to 150 pesos. Therefore, we can say that the cost of our product is 150 pesos. Next, we have sold it at 180 pesos. For the keyword sold, we can say that 180 pesos here is the selling price of our product. For the question, we have here, what is the markup? So, for this particular problem, the markup is missing. So that's what we are going to solve. So we already know that the markup can be obtained by getting the difference between the selling price and the cost. So if we're going to make use of this formula, we will be having markup is equal to the selling price minus the cost. Substituting the values to our formula, we have the selling price of 180 pesos minus the cost, which is 150 pesos. Getting the difference, 180 pesos minus 150 pesos, that will give us 30 pesos, and this now will be our markup. This now will be our final answer. Next, let us have the markdown. Markdown is defined as the reduction of the selling price and may result to zero profit. Thus, entrepreneurs must be careful in setting their markdowns. We have two types of markdowns. The first one is what we call the temporary markdown, which is usually done to increase sales by attracting customers for a given period of time. This can be in the form of promotional sales such as buy one take one or 50% off that are considered to be customer magnets. On the other hand, permanent markdown is done during inventory or clearance sales. This is used to remove certain products from the stocks of a company, especially if they are selling poorly. Entrepreneurs tend to just dispose the products even if, sabi nga, balik puhunan na lang. Markdown can be solved by getting the difference between the original selling price and the new selling price. Para mas maintindihan, let us have an example. Example: a piece of face shield was originally sold at 30 pesos. Due to increased supply of the product, Mr. Mattipid reduced the selling price to 18 pesos just to reach the break-even point. What is the markdown? Again, to solve for this problem, let us first identify the given values as well as what is asked in the problem. First one, we have the term originally sold at 30 pesos. With this, we can say that 30 pesos is the original selling price. Next, we have reduced the selling price to 18 pesos. So from 30 pesos, the selling price was reduced to 18 pesos. So with this one, we can say that 18 pesos is the new selling price of the product. And then looking at the question at the end of the problem, it says, what is the markdown? So for this one, we are solving for the markdown. So this is asked in the problem. So we know that the markdown can be obtained by getting the difference between the original selling price and the new selling price. Thus, we can say that markdown is equal to the original selling price minus the new selling price. Substituting the values to our problem, we will be having here 30 pesos, which is the original selling price, minus 18 pesos, which is the new selling price. Solving this further, we will have 30 pesos minus 18 pesos, and that will give us 12 pesos. Therefore, the markdown is 12 pesos. This now will be our final answer. Mark on. This is the increase on the price of the product, usually during special occasions and peak seasons, such as Father's Day, Mother's Day, or celebration of the New Year's Day. Mark on can be obtained by getting the difference between the new selling price and the original selling price. Let us have this example. Mrs. D. Escarte purchased a kilogram of seedless grapes for 90 pesos and put a 30 pesos markup. As the new year approaches, the demand for round fruits increased, giving her an opportunity to raise the price to 160 pesos per kilo. What is the mark on? So again, to solve for this problem, we're going to first identify the given values as well as what is asked in the problem. So with this, let us check the keyword. For the first one, we have purchase for the amount of 90 pesos. Therefore, we can say that 90 pesos is the cost of our product. Next, we have 30 pesos markup. With this one, it is specified that the markup is 30 pesos. Next, we have increased the price to 160 pesos per kilo. Since there is an increase in the price, we can say that 160 pesos is the new selling price of the product. So, if we're going to check the question in the problem, it says, what is the mark-on. So with this one, we are going to solve for the mark-on. So we already know that the mark-on can be obtained by getting the new selling price minus the original selling price. Dito sa ating given, we cannot see the specific value for the original selling price. But we know that the original selling price of the product can be obtained by getting the cost of the product plus the markup. So, let us first identify the value of the original selling price. So, for the original selling price, we have there cost plus markup. With this one, we're going to substitute the values. For the cost, we have 90 pesos. And then, add the value of the markup, which is 30 pesos. Adding these two values, we can get the original selling price as 120 pesos. Since we already have the value for the original selling price, we can now get the value of the mark-on. So for the mark-on is equal to the new selling price minus the original selling price. So we have the value for the new selling price, which is 160 pesos, minus the original selling price, which is 120 pesos. Getting the difference between these two, we will have a value of 40 pesos, and this now will be the value of our mark-on. Therefore, this will be our final answer. And that ends our discussion. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again in our next video lesson. God bless!